Vodou Boye, Abu Shishe, Assalamu alaikum alaikum Sala, Sarava, Bobo. All of the traditions that are prominent in the community, I speak a greeting to you. I want to talk today about part 2 of what the first video cut off, why I believe that Ifa basically has a deeper transformative aspect on an individual than other traditions. What I've seen from practicing and being part of the communities of the traditions in which I speak of in the title of this video, the communities are very different in such a way. Whereas the community of Ifa is based on truthfulness, is based on having a cool head, is based on Iwa Pele, is based on having good character. You know, like the tenets of the practice are based on these things which help the individual overall. And then people underestimate the power of Iwa Pele and what Iwa Pele, the power that Iwa Pele gives the individual over their life and protection from negative forces and things of that nature. So we deal with traditions like Palo, right? I spent many years in the tradition of Palo. And in that tradition, it was, from the moment I got into it, it was all about strength. It was all about power. It was all about, you know, being pacheche. You know, yo soy pacheche. I am strong. I am good. You know what I mean? Like, it was all about who's the strongest. And so what that creates in a community where people who live a culture that has, and I'm dumbing it down for the first time person who's never heard of these things. I'm keeping it so dumb. So, and I'm not saying that you all are dumb. I'm just saying, like, I'm dumbing it down so everyone can understand where I'm coming from. These cultures, which come from poverty, and then, you know, these traditions being the power of their liberation, in a sense, it becomes about, you know, who's the strongest. And so, you know, in that culture of Palo, you know, you're used to competition. You're used to someone feeling like, oh, why are you going to him? Because he's good. Well, I can tell you I'm better. Well, why are you better than him? How are you better than him? Watch what I do to him. Like, that's the type of mentality that particular tradition can actually imprint upon a person's mind. And so coming into it early on, it really is about your godfather. If your godfather is behaving in that way, then 9 times out of 10, a lot of his godchildren are going to have the same type of temperament. They're going to be like, well, Padrino does it this way, so I'm going to do it this way. Padrino will handle it that way, so I'm going to handle it that way. And then when they go to their Padrino with shit that they can't really do for themselves, their Padrino handles it with war or conflict or attack or anything of that nature, like, they're going to learn that, and that becomes a part of their spiritual belief in that particular tradition. Quimbanda, similar, but not necessarily the same as much as most people in Quimbanda mind their business. Unless you have a few of those people who have one of those Angolan Congo spirits that's like, yo, you know, they're doing it wrong and blah, 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 because they really want to grow. They really want to become something in the community. They want to have a name for themselves in the community and so forth. And so they start picking beefs with other people who are doing things wrong, knowing damn well that there's more than 7 different gangs or lineages in Quimbanda. Everybody's not practicing the same way. So the person that, unless you are talking to a person and you say, well, okay, I practice Quimbanda Melee. And you say, well, oh, I practice Quimbanda Melee. And then y'all start going back and forth about who know the most in Quimbanda Melee. That's different. But if you practice Quimbanda Melee and then you sitting here debating with a person who practice Quimbanda Congo or Quimbanda Angola, right? or Quimbanda Luciferiana. These different lineages of Quimbanda, you start debating with these people about those lineages practice different from you anyway. So to say that they're doing something wrong, you have no right to step in their realm and say, as long as they didn't step in your realm and test you, you have no right to do that. But this is a type of energy that we find in both Quimbanda and Palo. Okay? So when we talk about being able to develop spiritually, you don't see that there, because there is an external training, and then there's also an internal training. There's an internal training. The internal training is happening in your mind, in your Ori. The internal training is learning to bring your mind under control, controlling your emotions, controlling your thoughts, controlling everything around you with your mind. First and foremost, is strengthening your Ori. But they don't talk about that in these particular traditions. Not even in Ifa as much. They talk about, me and another brother was saying, like, oh yeah, they talk about, if I gotta find meditation in Ifa, then they don't really talk about it. It should be a part of the corpus. It should be a part of the knowledge. It should be a part of, you should go inward to strengthen your Ori. Like, that should be a proverb. You know what I mean? But it's not. So, yeah, they don't really talk about meditation. What we talking about is inward training as well as an external training. But they don't connect the two. They don't see how both are connected. Most people don't. And so, but what Ifa does is prepare you for that inner work. Because the more you become peaceful with the world around you, the easier it will be for you to become peaceful within yourself. Because in order to be at peace with the world around you, you have to be at peace with the inner world within yourself. And if you follow the tenets of Ifa, you will naturally become peaceful inside of yourself. You'll naturally become like that, you know, and then blessings can come to you. You know what I mean? That's the secret, and that's one of the powers of Iwa Pele, is that it opens you up inaccessibly to receive blessings, to receive Ire, and protects you from Ibe. Protects you from Ibe. So, yeah, it prepares you for that. Now, if you get with somebody that has the ability to teach you the internal or the esoteric aspects, you know, to mentally train yourself to go higher, that's different. But yeah, it definitely has a deeper transformative aspect versus, you know, anytime you would go, most people go to their Nganga in Palo, Mayombe, or any other, they're not going to their Nganga asking their Nganga, make me smarter. Nganga, help me to control my thoughts. Nganga, help me to do this, help me to do that within myself. They're asking the Nganga to do things to other people. Okay? When you begin to start going to your shrines and asking your shrines, forget about the other person. What can you do for me? You know what I mean? Like, the same way you can put a curse or a hex on somebody else, put an energy on them to cause something bad happen, you can also ask that spirit to do something good for you. Help me to stop smoking cigarettes. Help me to stop drinking. Help me to stop doing this. Help me to stop doing that. You know what I mean? To help correct and fix things about yourself. Most people do not have the spiritual maturity in those traditions in order to work them in that way. Everything is always a conflict. You always see about people who got a beef with somebody. They always got something. You know what I mean? You don't see that in Ifa. You don't see people beefing and doing all those things on a regular basis in Ifa. I don't see a bunch of Nigerians going back and forth with each other on a post on social media. Like, I never see that ever happen. So, you know, that has a lot to do with the tenets of Ifa that allow a person to maintain Iwa Pele, maintain cool-headedness, maintain benevolence, you know, maintain that aspect of themselves that keeps them in a peaceful way of life. Ashe.